Okay, the gun and ammo crisis. Has it gotten to an even worse point than before? Well, as I've been reporting on this, and we all know ammunition shortages and everything else, we all know that the demand is 10, maybe even now 20 times higher than what the industry can produce and put out. Okay? And that's the bottom line. That's why there's shortages. You can still get stuff sporadically if you wish to go like to Sportsman's Warehouse or something every morning when they open at 9 o'clock and rush in with the rest of the scavengers in there and try to get something. Okay? And basically that's what you're reduced to. Alright? Going online, forget it. Most places are sold out. They are not accepting back orders. And what I think we're missing is there's been a surge that we all forgot about that happened this month. Okay, things were bad back in December, and things looked grim. You couldn't get nothing. I mean, in the summer, I could get powder, but then, it was sold out. Now, you cannot get any type of smokeless gunpowder. Okay, it's all sold out. And if it does trickle through, what you're finding is places will use Sportsman's Warehouse, because that's kind of a national chain. What they will do is little by little they will set things out, be it ammunition, reloading components, or guns. Same with Academy Sports. They'll trickle this out, allow you to only buy so much. Okay, but when you go in there, there's never anything on the shelves. That's how bad it is. People are there. You'd have to go, what I would have to do is drive 25 minutes every day to the store, wait there till it opens, and just keep going in day after day. And maybe I'd be lucky and be able to buy a pound of smokeless powder or a brick of 1,000 primers at somewhat of a normal price. I think powder now has gone to about $30 a pound, $29, $30. Depending on the brand. Some brands are more expensive. Primers, which should be $23 or were $25, if you get them for 30 or something, 32, that's good. If you can find them for 40 or 50, I'd say, yeah, I'd even buy them at that price. I remember somebody offered me some at $60 a thousand, and I turned them down. That was in the summer. I said, no, I can still find them for half that. And now I've heard of people paying $180 for 1,000 primers, $200, or even $125 for a pound of gunpowder. Somebody's marking it up $100. Okay? So what do? And then I've seen guns is really not so much that they've run out. You can still find firearms show up eventually. And like I said, in the chain stores, they will pop up, or online. If you go to somebody online, the guns will pop up every now and again, but they're sold out very quick. And the prices really, I don't think they're not super crazy on the prices. So that's a tough call, because I think Caltech come out with some little 22 pistol, and I went into a store and asked. He said they had some, they're sold out. He goes, come back. He goes, just come back in. And he goes, maybe in a month or so we'll have another shipment of so many of them, and they'll be out here. But the price, isn't like triple of what it should be. Okay. So I've seen that after this political debacle, and where supposedly Joe Biden is the president-elect and the Democrats want a controlling thing in the House, this is where I believe people went totally berserk. Because I've been in the Academy Sports, and there was 2 or 3 synthetic stocked hunting rifles and about 6 handguns in the counter. That was it. That whole gun area was empty. when I went to Sportsman's Warehouse, which is a little bit bigger operation, they have a ton of these used, beat-up revolvers. There's a whole bunch of old revolvers in there, and the used things, some automatic pistols. They have new guns, which basically they had a bunch of single-action .22 revolvers. They must have got a shipment of them. There's like a dozen of them in the case. There were some assorted, usually they're very expensive models, be it HK or SIG or whatever, guns that are 900 or 1,000 or more. There was an assortment of them. There were some guns priced down around $500, in there, polymer frame guns. But that's about it. And I mean, I went in there after Black Friday on Thanksgiving, and there was 22s, and there were some of the Savage Accesses and that, and then them high dollar long range guns, and some fancy expensive over and under shotguns and things like that. And they do get some tactical shotguns, but as soon as they're in there, they're pretty much sold out. I went in there after this supposed inauguration and the electoral college thing. I went in there and there are no guns. All the 22s and inexpensive hunting rifles, the synthetic stocks in that one section, it was empty. There's some used revolvers in that them guns got some use to them, and they're pretty high priced. That's what they got in there. They have some high-end assault rifles. Their used long gun section was empty, and all the high-powered things were gone. So I'm looking at this, and I said, with this there, and the Democrats are in power, now it's even 10 times more. So now I'm saying the demand has gone from 10 times to 20. It's ratcheted up. Okay, and I think and it's really out of control. It's beyond out of control. So anyway, that's the current situation. And in a situation like this, I always tell myself, pick something different. It used to be go getting a 22, but 22 ammo is $80, $100, a brick of 500 now. And that's why during the Obama years, when you couldn't find 22 long rifle, I just didn't shoot the guns. You go on to something else. So what do? So I made a suggestion on my channel. Hey, what can you do that you can still get? Smokeless powder's out, so you're not reloading or getting anything. Ammunition's out, unless you want to pay $1 a round for 9mm. So you could go out and shoot $100 worth of ammo in an afternoon or something. So you're not going to really want to do that. So I said, well, there's always, and this is something I got into way back during the assault rifle ban, when they had the first time we ever had a panic and things would jump up and that. That's when I said, I collect military guns. At the time I was collecting mainly from like 1900 on up, World War I, World War II type of bolt-action rifles and things like that. I said, but I'm interested in military history. And one thing I never got into, which is another shooting venue, is muzzle loading or the old black powder firearms. And the thing is, what's nice about them is you can still just order them back then and even now in the mail and get them. Okay, it's not a modern gun, and that's kind of why it falls under that restrictions. And back in the old days, it was no problem. Now there are some states where these things are restricted. And something like this. This is a replica of an 1858 Remington revolver. Okay. Nowadays, they're mainly made in Italy. Some foreign countries used to make these way back when in the 50s and that, but the majority of the manufacturing, the Italians make these guns, and they're pretty neat guns. You can get them without any restrictions. Okay, order them through the mail. They were all over the place. So I said, I suggested to my viewers, hey, let's get into black powder guns. So I went and dug out, I have a couple of these revolvers, and I have a few long guns that are muzzle loaders, that are basically old military style guns. So I said, let's get into that, and why don't we all get into shooting muzzle loaders? And the thing is, when I was looking for powder and stuff, you could still get black powder. So I said, hey, you can still order it. Just like, back in the summer, I said I needed some powder. I ordered a couple 8-pound jugs. It got here in a month. And I wasn't going to tie up thousands and thousands of dollars. Okay, when it kind of looked like the supply went, well, now the supply is gone. It's probably going to be gone for a long time. So I said, all right, instead of worrying about this, breaking my neck or expending everything and not being able to reload anything, let's take a different venue. Let's go with muzzleloaders. So I made the suggestion. I started looking, getting my guns out, getting everything organized. How bad is the gun and ammo shortage? Not only can you not find primers to load regular cartridges, you cannot get the caps that go on this revolver. There's 2 sizes, number 10, number 11, and any percussion gun, be it a rifle like the Kentucky rifles, use an 11. And generally, these revolvers, the older ones use a number 10, but now some of the newer ones will use a larger number 11 cap. You can't get the caps anywhere. And when there was a slump a year or so ago, they had a sale, and I bought 1,000 musket caps, I bought 1,000 10s, and I bought 1,000 number 11s, which in general, a carton or a case of them like that would last me for years. Okay, because I go out and enjoy these, shoot them every so often, but never really, like some people that are into this and like these guns will shoot these just as much as we normally shoot a 9mm something, practice with them and enjoy them. So they will expend more. So I do have the caps in that. Now when I made the suggestion, I was looking around to advise my viewers, the caps are gone. So I said, well, at least you could still get black powder. And 3 weeks ago, I went to Grafton Son, and they have all the major brands. They had all the powder there, okay? So I started making videos about the muzzle loaders and going to go out and shoot once the weather breaks, going to go out and shoot some and discuss it, make videos. And I said, you could still get powder. So I went, did an inventory of what powder I have, and with black powder you have 1F, 1.5F, which 1F is like for a giant musket, like a Brown Bess or something. Then you got 1.5, which they use for cartridges, and then 2, the grain is a little bit finer. And basically 2, they kind of tell you to use it for, you could use it in a 58, but like a 45 caliber rifle or something, you'd use it. And generally revolvers and stuff, they say to use 3F, which is a finer powder. But these larger 44s and that, you could get away with using 2. And then you have 4F, which I had 1 pound, and it took me years to use it, and I found another. You use either in a real tiny, under a 31 caliber pistol, or in a flintlock. That's what you put in the pan as the ignition charge for a larger musket. So you don't really use a lot of 4. So I went and said, okay, I went and inventoried my stuff. I said, I'm going to get out, do a lot of videos shooting this. So let me see what's available, what I have, what's available. Guess what? It has gotten so bad. Okay, this ammo crisis, there's hardly any black powder out there. I was looking at graphs. He has 1F. He has the 3 or 4 different major manufacturers. There's not a lot of manufacturers that make it. There's Swiss, Goex has 2 brands, Graphs or Schutzen, and that's about it. Okay, this Graphs label, this is Schutzen powder. If you go to another website, you'll find Schutzen. That's what this is. It's just Graphs hasn't put their label on. So I'm looking, and I start noticing it's all sold out. Swiss is expensive. It's $27 a pound. The Goex is about, the Einsford, they got 2 brands. They got a newer brand which is supposedly better, which that's about $20 some a pound. and then their old Goex with the red label is about 19 something, 20 even, this hair under 20, and this here is usually, this Schutzen is about $15–16 a pound, and that's the normal price. I didn't believe it, but Graf's, and they got a big thing when you go to their website, we're not taking back orders, we're under, it's going to take about a month if you order something. If we got it in stock, it may be a month before we can even get to where we ship it. Okay? So I went to another place, and Graf's had 1F. They make another powder, reenactor or cannon powder, which is real coarse or something, because reenactors basically, they just load the gun, fire it during their battle reenactments, and the smoke and fire comes out, and that's it. So you do have a reenactor's powder, which is basically, you know, just like to make blanks. Okay, where if you're actually shooting the gun and want to hit something, you have to fine tune the other different powders. And Swiss powder is very expensive, and that's what all the guys who are into long range shooting or shooting the black powder guns really like Swiss powder. And you know, but more getting, I'm not going to get into the different types of black powder, but there are different types, there's reasons, and there's different costs. So generally, you never really see Swiss out, because that's very expensive. You'll see the cheaper brands sell out, you know, or being non-available. 3 weeks ago, I went there, nothing was out of stock. I go there today to look, I go to Graf's, all I had was 1F, some reenactor or cannon powder, 4F, and all of them were out of 3 or 2F powder. 2F is totally gone. There was one brand that maybe had the 3F for revolvers, or I think Graf's, I think, was sold out of all its 3F. So it was 1, maybe 1.5, and 4. And there was maybe one brand that had 3F left. So I went to another site. I went there, and they had the same 4 brands. Okay, 2F is sold out. And I'm trying to think why. I guess 2F can be used in a large revolver like a 44. I can use 2F. You would use it in like a 45 caliber rifle or a hunting gun, which basically run from 40, 45, you know. And in the old days they had the 54s. I don't know if they make them anymore. The old original Hawkins were 54. I think the industry standard on them all now is about 45 or 50. Okay, in a hunting long rifle. But you cannot get 2F powder at all. It's all sold out. So I went, and I said, you know what, instead of screwing the hell around, I went and placed an order for 10 pounds of assorted powder. I got some 1F. I went and got the 1.5. I'll substitute. If I can't use 2, I'll go with 1.5. I got some 3, and because I got a flintlock pistol on its way, I got another pound of 4. Okay, for priming a flintlock. And I had to place an order, and again with the hazmat fees and everything, it was like $58 in shipping or something, but I got it before it sold out. So now my plan of screwing around using black powder muzzleloaders is something to do and recreate, that's even gone. You cannot get black powder. It's sold out. Unreal. Then, because I'm running my mouth and telling people, most people, instead of buying like a muzzle loading rifle or something, most people enjoy these cap and ball guns, okay? Because they're fun. You load it up, you shoot 6 shots, you know, other than 1, you know. And so they're more popular. You cannot find a cap and ball revolver for sale anywhere. Every major company, Dixie Gun Works, Midway would have them in their lineup, and several other of these smaller places that, you know, not only do they sell black powder guns, but they'll like sell uniforms, clothing, and all the accessories if you're a reenactor. There are several little smaller companies that do that, kind of specialized. Firearms is not the only thing they sell, but because they're unregulated, they sell the period clothing and accoutrements. They also sell the guns. That's their thing. These people are all sold out. You cannot get a cap and ball revolver. To hell with a cartridge gun, you can't get a muzzle-loading revolver. Now, why is that? Well, looking at it, a lot of people were complaining depending on your state laws. This state isn't that bad. You got a concealed carry in North Carolina, you got a concealed carry that's automatic background check, and your driver's license. That's all you need. If you need to buy a handgun and you don't have a concealed carry, you must go down to the sheriff's office and get a pistol purchasing permit. And depending on what county you live in, a lot of these offices are closed. So that means you cannot buy a handgun because you can't get the documentation from the state government to do your background check or whatever. And it varies from state to state. New York State, you can walk in the store. You buy a handgun, okay? You have to go to the county courthouse to get that put on your permit, transfer it, all this paperwork, pay the fee, then go back to the store with a little receipt and show them that you have it registered on your permit and you got that, then you can get the gun. There are people who bought a gun in April or May, but the courthouse, because of COVID-19, has been closed, the Pistol Permit Bureau. So you cannot actually possess the gun. You cannot do the transaction and be legal to get the pistol. So there's a lot of people, and I've heard of other states where there's some sort of a thing whenever you buy a gun, you go buy it and you have to go to the courthouse and do a background check of some sort or whatever, then go get the gun. There are other states that have something similar. Even though you bought and paid for your item, it's in this legal limbo where you can't gain possession of it. So I'm thinking to myself, what the hell would someone do with something like this? Well, two reasons. One, a lot of guys that like these guns are people who are convicted felons, cannot use a firearm or own a firearm or buy a firearm. They can buy one of these because, to go out and recreationally shoot. They can. Okay, no restrictions, no nothing, and there's nothing, I guess, illegal with them possessing a black powder muzzle-loading type firearm. So that is one thing. Also, if you live in a restrictive state where now you can't go, even if they got a handgun in the store, but you can't get it because the office is closed or something, you cannot get the handgun because that's kind of one of these ways they're using that COVID as a way to stop us from being able to buy guns. Now I'm thinking people are buying these, and what's another reason? For all of these guns in the past few years, and you see it on Hickok 45 and that, there's a company that makes a cartridge conversion cylinder. And what you would do with this, like this particular gun, is you would pull that back, disassemble the weapon, get the cylinder out, like this, and they make a cylinder that you drop in there and convert this to 45 long Colt. Okay? Now the only downside of that is this gun costs about $280 and the conversion cylinder costs about the same amount, if not $300. But the thing is, and you can't just reload it like a normal revolver. You would have to remove the cylinder every time you wanted to load and unload the cartridges. So it's somewhat, in a weird way, to me it's very impractical. I buy these just to shoot black powder in them. If I want to shoot a 45 long Colt, I have a replica Colt single action pistol in 45 Colt, I just take that out and shoot it. Okay, but say you can't get a gun. Buy one of these, buy the conversion cylinder, load it with cartridges, 45 long Colt. Some of these are in 38 special or whatever, and it's costly, be about $600 or so, but you have a functioning cartridge gun that will fire a modern cartridge. Only 6 rounds. So it didn't dawn on me that people who are hung up have gone and bought all of these revolvers. You cannot find a black powder cap and ball revolver for sale anywhere. They are gone. Okay? I didn't believe it. I never thought it would come to the point where you cannot buy a pound of black powder, you cannot get a replica cap and ball revolver. I never thought that. That's how bad this crisis is. Then, I was looking at an auction. There are several auction companies. This one here, Rock Island Auction Company. They're having auctions left and right. They got to have 1 billion firearms up there. They're one of the largest auction houses in the U.S. And the thing about them, which is a little bit different than most, is Rock Island puts a lot of guns out. Okay? And the way they set their auctions up, if the gun is invaluable, they put groups of guns, 3, 4 more, that it tallies up. You better have $1,000 in your pocket. You're going to screw around in their auctions. Well, sometimes they have these off auctions where, they have lots that are less than $1,000. So this one auction had a lot of modern guns, I call them assault rifles, just rifles with a detachable magazine that are military style. They had a ton of them. They had old antique guns. They had original Colts. They had a bunch of them, Winchesters. Then they have reproduction guns. Towards the very back end of the catalog or the listing, that's where they had these reproduction guns. So I said, I'm going to get into it. I'll look into picking up maybe a couple. If I can find a deal, I'll grab a couple black powder guns to add, and that way I'll be able to make videos through the duration of the shortage, So I found some lots and I put bids in there, and I followed this auction. You can go and watch it live, and you can sit there on a computer and watch the auction go. In the past, the weird thing about these muzzleloaders, you'll find them. They'll be 30, 40, 50 years old, still in the box. Somebody bought it, thought they were going to use it, never did, and it sat for 30 years, and then they try selling it, because now, 30 years ago, you got it for maybe $100, and now they sell it for $300. So hey, give me $275 or something, and you make some money. Okay, that's how you run across a lot of these older style guns, or old guns that were made years ago. Those are all gone. So they had different ones, and you'll see where people just keep them, buy them, and keep them. So they had some lots of these revolvers. They were going for more than what you can buy them in the store. And I didn't realize, I'm wondering, what the hell is this? I can go to Dixie Gun Works and get the damn gun sent to me for less than what people are paying. These things were going out of control. So I sat there and watched little pocket pistols, 25 automatics, 22s, them little guns, odd guns, that they languish in pawn shops and nobody really buys them. They had lots of them things. They're like $150, $200 guns. They were going in a lot of 4 or 5. They were going for $300, $400 a piece, and they're used guns. They're not brand new in the box. I'm talking about used guns. Okay? I remember trying to sell them. You'd be lucky to get $80 for them or something. They're going $300. And there's a group of 4. 3 to 5 in a group. It was insane. I've never seen it. Okay, and I'm not going to go and pay that for them. I guess these people are dealers or something that have some way of marking it up, but prices have gone nuts. Any type of AR-15 or modern military-style rifle with a detachable clip, of course, different brands are worth more, but they had them. All of them things were going well over $1,000, okay, up to almost $2,000. And some of the rare, unusual ones were really just going out of sight. And I mean, they went through over 1,000 some odd lots. And now they got this auction coming up, and I forget what the hell this is. This is going to run February 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Okay? This is a 4-day auction with 8,700 guns. Alright? And nearly 5,000 lots. They're going to run about 1,000 lots a day. Okay? And I mean, when you go here and you look at these prices, I don't think it's fake or fictitious, because I've bought some things from these auctions, but it's ungodly what's in here. And there's anything and everything you can think of. 22s, cheap shotguns, to rare Colts and Winchester rifles. Never seen nothing like it. And a couple of the local auctions told me. The guns, collectible guns, see, this is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about AR-15s or like high capacity 9mm. Any collectible Luger or old, they're going for insane prices. See, there's a difference between having a gun to defend your home or your person and a gun that's collectible. Okay? You know, like an original one of these would be well over $1,000. Okay? You know, they're like 15, depending on the condition, about $1,500 bucks. But it is a 150-year-old gun. All right? Collector's items are skyrocketing. Everybody's going berserk. And like I said, it's gotten to the point where you cannot get black powder or buy a replica, a $300 replica cap and ball revolver. They are sold out. Period. I've never thought I'd see this. This is beyond insane. I don't know what to say. The only thing I can say is, you know, hold tight. I don't believe it. I was in shock and dismay. I had to make this video. And I'm sorry I droned on, but you ain't got nowhere to go because COVID's closed down, so you might as well watch the video. All right? Thank you, and stay tuned.